My name is Yasmine Wilde and I'm addicted to plants. No, but really. So today I'm doing a video about my plant collection. Just some precursors before I get started. There are a lot of them. I am well and truly addicted to buying plants and looking after plants. I'm not a plant expert in any way, shape or form. I sort of learnt as I went, a lot of trial and error. I've killed a lot of people. I've killed a lot of plants in my time. I'm going to be talking about how I keep mine alive, but obviously it's not advice that is sort of applicable for everyone. It's dependent on a lot of different things, so I'm not an expert. Don't take my word for anything that I say. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep this as like speedy as possible, but I think it should be a good old time. I actually asked on Instagram if anyone would be interested in seeing this video, and quite a lot of people, 120 something, said yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna get started really. So, for starters, I'm gonna talk about one of, I think it was the first like biggest plant that I bought. So yeah, the first big boy that I bought is this Monstera, and Monsteras are also referred to as cheese plants. It's sort of their colloquial name, because I guess the leaves have holes, so it looks like Swiss cheese. These guys are incredibly easy to look after. They are so not fussy. You can pretty much stick them anywhere. I have moved this one around quite a bit. It used to be like in the corner of my room, but it wasn't getting enough light, so when it does that, the leaves kind of like curl in on themselves. It's a lot healthier and happier now. It just keeps growing. Honestly, you just water it when the soil's looking a little bit dry. They're not fussy. You need to like wipe them. The leaves get a bit dusty, wipe them. They like a bit of humidity, but honestly they could pretty much survive in any environment as long as they're getting like a good amount of light, or just like, you know, a normal amount of light. Yeah, he's just growing really healthily. You can see that there's a couple of new little leaves coming through. They grow huge. They're really easy to propagate, which, you know, means like duplicating them if you want more. I've tried to do it with one downstairs and I'm not quite sure if it's been successful or not. They grow really large. The leaves have a tendency to like droop the stems, so as you can see I've like tied mine to the coconut pole, which is supposed to the coconut pole is supposed to like train them to grow upwards basically, because otherwise they get really heavy and they'll just droop over, which, you know, some people like. You can have like a little hanging droopy guy, but yeah, I really like it. I've had to repot him twice already, because he's a big boy, and I just buy these like really cheap pots and I paint them myself. Yeah, that's that one. This is my second biggest boy. This one's colloquial name is Devil's Ivy. It comes in, I believe, 3 different like types. This one is the golden Pothos, and you can tell because it's got like white and green leaves. But you can get like green and yellow or just plain green. Again, this one is like a climber, so it has a coconut pole inside, and I bought this one already. It had the coconut pole attached, and it's got little like hooks to keep the stems and the stalks growing upwards. This one's been really unfussy. It needs a good amount of like different Pothos breeds need different things. This one, the golden one, needs a lot of bright light, or just like medium light, so I keep mine where it gets, when it is sunny, it gets quite a lot of sunlight, and it's been really healthy. It's never really given me any problems. I've just kind of watered it whenever. It's a bit similar to the Monstera, and it's growing some little babies, so it looks happy. Honestly, I've not had to pluck off any dying leaves, so yeah, he will keep going on growing. Then we've got one of my pride and joys. This is a calathea. I have two. I did used to have another one which was beautiful, but it died and I'm very sad about it. I will get another one because the leaves are just stunning. What's really nice about calatheas is they have, depending on what type you get, they have really elaborate leaves. This one is so pretty. They're fussy plants, so would not recommend for somebody that is a beginner. I think I bought my other one when I didn't really know that much about plants, and I don't think it got enough light and it wasn't very happy, so that was really sad. This one is beautiful. It's not like the happiest. It's got like little patches. It's because I think I keep it sort of nearish when my heater is, and it's the winter right now, so I guess the heat from it hasn't been great. This one is fussy, but it's quite useful because it'll tell you when it needs help. Because basically all the stems start drooping massively, and then I know it needs water, and then as soon as I water it, it's like bing! So fussy plants, but this breed in particular, it's quite easy to like know what to do with it. So this one is one of my more recent purchases. I've got two that I bought just like the other day. This is another calathea. I'm pretty sure it's a calathea, but I was trying to find like what strain of calathea, and I couldn't find this leaf pattern anywhere. But I'm pretty sure it's a calathea. This one is funny. There's a couple of calatheas, my other one did it as well, where when it's dark the leaves like curl upwards, so it's so weird, like the whole plant goes like straight up at night time, and then in the morning it's just like is normal. So this one looks fairly healthy. I think it's quite a young one. It's got like some new leaves coming in, and yeah, I don't know, I like it. I think this one's going to be a little bit fussier than my big one, so we'll see if I can keep this one alive. Then we've got this beautiful boy. I say boy, I call a lot of them boys. I'm sure they're not all boys. I don't gender my plants because that would be weird, but I just like calling them healthy boys, okay? This one is an Alocasia amazonia, or colloquially known as an elephant ear plant. It's typically found in Africa, and you can tell because they have these amazing like heart-shaped leaves. Again, this one grows really big. This one's been fairly unfussy for me. Very few leaves. Like they do have I'm not keeping it in the best area right now. I don't think it's getting that much light, but what I'll do, because I'm running out of space in my room, is I'll like rotate them. So the plants that are kind of being kept like in the more shadier bits of my room, I'll just like rotate them around basically. But I'm very fortunate. I've got two huge windows that gets a lot of light, so I think that's why I am able to have so many plants, but not everyone is as fortunate. Yeah, not fussy, don't really know what else to say about this one. It's beautiful and doesn't need too much water. I think the general rule of thumb with most plants, like there are some exceptions to the rule, but if it's a cactus or a succulent, it needs bright direct sunlight. There's just no going back that. Succulents more so. Cactuses can survive in shadier areas, they just don't grow really. If you want them to grow, keep them in the most direct sunlight that you can and don't water it until it's completely dried out. Most plants, you can kind of just water them, like if you touch the soil, and if usually like about an inch down it's dry, you can water them. Some of them need to be more dry than others, and you don't want to overwater them. Just give them like a good glug if they're feeling dry. That's kind of what I've been sticking to, and it's gone alright for me. Yeah, so those kind of plants, just keep them in indirect sunlight. The only ones that like direct sun is succulents and cacti, and there's very few plants that prefer the shade. So that's generally it with most plants. So if you kind of stick to that, then you're pretty good to go. Then I have this one. This is also a more recent one. I actually bought this one at Sainsbury's, which supermarkets, like big ones, are quite good for finding plants. I'll talk a little bit at the end about where I get some of the other ones. But yeah, I bought this one from Sainsbury's. It came with the pot as well. I think it was like £8 for the pot and the plant, which is an absolute bargain. I will definitely be buying more plants from there in the future. I think it's a palm. That much is clear. I don't know what kind of a palm. I'm guessing, I was doing some research before this video on the names of them so I could be a bit more helpful. I think this one is a Madagascar dragon tree, but I'm not sure. It's a cool name though. And basically, yeah, it's a tree. And so depending on what you pot it into, it will either stay relatively small and manageable, or it can grow into like a full tree. This one hasn't been fussy. I've just been kind of watering it when it looks a little bit dry. I believe it just likes indirect sun, and pretty good one to have if you struggle at keeping plants alive. And I have this one, which is a Sansevieria. The colloquial name for this one is mother-in-law's tongue, I believe, or you can call it a snake plant. This one is, do you know what, it's not very fussy. This one is a good one to have because either it'll thrive in bright sun or it'll do just fine in like a shadier area. It doesn't need too much water, it likes to be relatively dry. This one I just need to get some more soil because I've repotted it a couple of times into different pots, and the stalks and stuff are like a little bit loose, so they haven't rooted properly into this pot. But really easy to look after. I've not had any problems with this necessarily. I did have, this one used to be like next to my bed, which is probably one of the more shadier areas of my room, and I don't think it did particularly well there. It didn't like suffer that much, it just wasn't great. So you can see here I've had to like snip off one of the little dry leaves, but yeah, there's that one. Then we have this boy. This one is called a bird's nest fern. I bought this one from Kew Gardens along with my beautiful big calathea. It's really pretty. This is a new leaf which has grown straight, but when I bought it, all of the leaves kind of like curved downwards. And I went to a conservatory and I've seen a big version of this, and they go like huge if they have the room for it. Obviously this one won't. But I don't know, who knows, if it's alive in like 3 years it might be massive. Yeah, this one is the newest little leaf and it's grown straight. Doesn't quite fit in with the rest of them. This one is, I've got another little one coming in the middle actually. This one isn't particularly fussy. It does like a lot of water, but it's looking a little bit pale, and when I was researching about it, I think that means that it is getting too much light. This one prefers humidity and like shadier sort of areas. So I've moved where I keep it, and hopefully it'll be nice and vibrant again. But yeah, I have this one, which is a variegated rubber plant. There's again a bunch of different types of these rubber plants. I've got the one that's like pink and green. Can't really see it very well. These ones are not that fussy. I know that you can get similar ones like fig plants, and they can be really fussy. This one grows huge. It grows really like tall. So I got this one when it was like a little baby. When it starts growing, I'm gonna need to get like a pole for it and keep it upright. But yeah, they grow really massive. Yeah, not a lot to say about it really. I bought it quite recently. I've yet to really find like, you know, it's not died very quickly or anything. I've got it in like a neutral sort of place. I would say it's like more on the shadier side, so definitely not in direct sunlight, and it's doing fine. I'm gonna try and move it to like a brighter, sunnier area and see if it prefers that more. But I've got a new little leaf coming in. It's got super like rubbery, waxy, thick leaves, so I think it's a little bit more of like a hardy plant than some of the softer like calatheas. So that's it for the big ones. The lighting is doing its own thing. I'll talk about this one next. So this is an oyster plant, I believe. Don't quote me on that, I'm pretty sure it is. This one is, I was struggling a little bit when I got it. I don't think I put it in the right place. I've recently learned that it needs like at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day, so it definitely wasn't getting that. because it's the winter, but also I had it like in the middle of my shelf and it doesn't really get any sun there. So I think that's why it's grown like this really long sort of stalk. It's supposed to be sort of like a fern, I guess, but it's been stretching for that sun. So I've changed the position that it's in now. But what's really beautiful about this is it has these like purple leaves underneath, which is what attracted it to me in the first place, and I thought that was something that was really different and beautiful. So yeah, it should be better now in the sunlight. Also it gets dry quite quickly, so it's stayed alive, and like this whole thing is new, so it wasn't doing too badly. I guess it just, for it to be better, it needs sun. I have this one. This is a standard money plant. This, I think out of all of them, is my oldest plant. They just keep going like forever and ever and ever. It's come back from the dead a few times. It's succulent. It needs all the sunlight that you could possibly give it, which it wasn't getting when I first got it before. It was quite bushy. I think if it doesn't get sunlight, the like tree sort of stalks tend to grow quite long. But yeah, this one's really healthy and happy now, even though it's been the winter time. I keep him right on my desk where it gets the most sun. Yeah, just keeps on growing. I have, this one is, this one, the new Calathea that I bought, my newest little plant children. I've had this one before and it died. I just don't think I was giving it nearly enough light. It's a succulent again. This one, its colloquial name is donkey tail. And it is typically a hanging plant. You can keep hanging plants in like pots and then they just like, you know, start to hang, which obviously works for me because I don't have any hanging space. But I just think it's adorable. It's just got the cutest little bulbs ever. It reminds me of like Bulbasaurus or something like that. So yeah, I bought this new one. It's a little baby, and I've kept it right on a sunny spot. So hopefully it stays alive. Before I get carried away talking about succulents and cacti, I'm going to talk about this one. This is an Asparagus Fern. He's looking real sad. Please excuse him. He's supposed to be a bright, vibrant green, and at the moment he is not. So yeah, this is an Asparagus Fern. They look pretty amazing. This one is just, it wasn't getting enough light. And it was being overwatered, so I learned that like when the leaves start to go yellow, they're like these sort of furry leaves. If it goes yellow, it's too cold, I think, and then if it starts going brown like these are, it's being watered too much. And I was like humidifying it as well, like spraying water on it to like keep the humidity up, but apparently this one doesn't like that. I don't know where I got that from, but it's got a new little thingy, stalk has started growing that's bright green, so there is hope. Yeah, it's not dead yet, but I'm gonna bring it back from the dead. Last but not least, in terms of non-succulents and cacti, oh, leaf fell. I have this sad little guy. This one, what was it called? I feel like the colloquial name for it was like children's tears. Baby's tears. This one used to be so much bigger. It was really beautiful. I remember when I first saw it, it really caught my eye because it had these tiny little leaves. I just never seen anything like it before, and it used to be a lot bigger and I absolutely loved it, but I think I was just keeping it in the shade because I thought it was well and truly gone, but some of it's managed to cling on, and it's not dead yet, so I'm gonna keep on growing it, keep on loving it, and then hopefully it does better. We have this one. This is quite a popular one, and also quite a small size. They're usually a lot thicker than this. This is called the String of Hearts. It's a succulent again, so it needs a lot of light, and I think when I bought it as like a young plant because they're usually quite expensive. They come in like massive, like they're all curled around one another, and they get pricey. So I bought a little baby one because it was cheaper, and it's been going okay. It's been growing quite slowly. I've had it in a really shady spot, so I've had to move it now so that hopefully it can grow big and strong. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's beautiful, it's very interesting. It just keeps on trailing and trailing and trailing. It needs a succulent, so it needs to dry out properly. I think I was overwatering it as well. It needs to dry out fully before it gets water. And also it needs lots of sun. And I've got a couple of little cacti and stuff. I don't know the technical term for a lot of them, but I'll just briefly touch upon them. So I have this little like fairy guy and also a bigger version. I think the colloquial term for these ones is like paddle. I thought it was like a paddle cactus, but maybe it's not, because I think this is a prickly pear. That's what these ones are called. Oh, they're a bitch. The big one that I have is a son of a bitch. I have repotted it twice because it's quite big and I got worried, but repotting it is a fucking nightmare because these little hair-like thorns that it has, they get in your skin so easily and they're so hard to see. I've literally been covered head to toe in prickly pear things, because actually when I bought it I wasn't aware that it was thorns and I just thought it was like fluffy like a fluffy cactus, but it was wrapped in like tissue paper when I got it, and I took it out of the tissue paper and I remember seeing like the bits of fur everywhere, and it was on my bed and I was like wiping it away with my hand. Big mistake. Then I just was like, had tiny little needle like hair, and they hurt. Like, you wouldn't think that they hurt, but they really do. You know that they're in you because you'll catch it on something and it'll be like agony. So that was a fun time. I repotted it actually the other day because I wanted the pot that it was in. And yeah, I spent like an hour trying to get all the needles out of me. I'm not gonna move it from the pot that it's in currently. Like I said with cacti, if they have lots of sunlight and stuff, they grow really easily and quickly. If not, they don't really die. They'll only die, I think, if you overwater them. So the trick with cactuses is just don't water them. Except for like, I don't know, once every 2 months, give it like a little splash of something. But really, if you think cacti, they grow in the desert, so you don't want to give them too much. So really low maintenance, easy plants to look after if you're good at killing them, because they can be in the shade or the sun and they'll survive pretty much. These little bits I think are new little paddles, but they've yet to like fill out, if you know what I mean. I have this guy. I think this is my second oldest plant. I've had this one for a while. You might have seen it in a vlog I did last year. That last year, or was it 2 years ago? Might have been 2 years ago. I can't remember, but yeah, he's pretty cool. He's just curling, not growing very much because it's the winter time right now. I think in the summer when we start getting some more sun, I'm gonna keep it back in the window where it was last summer, just so that it grows nice and big. And then the other two I have, this one my friend got me for Christmas. She bought it from Sainsbury's as well. Just a standard cactus, I don't know what its technical term is. And I have like another little one like that. And then this one that I have is a succulent. I think it's colloquial name, I don't know exactly, it's like sugared almond or something like that. When I bought it, it was quite cheap, but it didn't transport very easily, and I had it in like a bag, and I was wondering about with it, and the bulbs, they just kept breaking off. I had loads in the bottom, so I tried to propagate them because apparently it's quite easy to do, but it didn't work out for me. And when I've kept it in an area that's really shady, it doesn't get like any light whatsoever, so it's suffering a little bit. I've stuck it in the window for now, so hopefully it'll grow healthy and stuff. But yeah, if you're somebody who really struggles to keep things alive, I would say get a succulent, get a cacti, stick it in somewhere sunny, and just don't water it that much. They're really pretty easy. I think that's it. I have some plants downstairs as well in our living room. Like I said, that's where my aloe vera lives now. But besides that, those are all of my plants. So I think last time I counted there were 31. And I have lots and lots of more pots to fill. So my collection's just gonna keep on growing. Yeah, that's it. So the places that I tend to get my plants, obviously I've mentioned supermarkets, so I don't know, any of the supermarkets. They usually sell flowers, but some of them will sell nice like potted plants as well. That's always a good place to go to, and you can get a bargain there usually. IKEA is good for plants as well. I don't live near one anymore, but I did used to get quite a few from there. My favourite plant shop in London is called the Conservatory Archives. It's in Bethnal Green and it's just plant heaven. The plants in there are really well looked after, they're good quality, and they're really, really affordable as well. I'm always so surprised every time I go in there, because plants shouldn't be expensive, but a lot of places charge a lot for them, and they don't need to be that much. Also, just like little markets, sometimes little corner shops you'll find in London, usually like in North London or East London or something like that. They sell plants for really cheap. I've bought a few from there in my time. Any like flower stores, you've got the Columbia Road Flower Market in London as well. I've bought a few from there. It's only open on a Sunday and it's usually a nightmare because there's so many people, but you can get some really nice ones from there. Yeah, that's sort of it. I think the plants are really good for my mental health as well. It's something that I'm quite open about, that I have suffered with really badly in the past, but there's something about just like being surrounded by living things that grow, and if you look after them properly, thrive as well. There's something about that that is quite comforting. It feels good to like look after something, and particularly when you see like new leaves, well for me, if I see new leaves growing or anything like that, it always fills me with such like a sense of accomplishment and excitement. So yeah, I'm obsessed and I'm not sorry. So hopefully you found this helpful, informative. If you've got any more questions, you can just comment them or whatever. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I think I've gotten a pretty good handle on what it takes. Sorry that this inevitably was a long rambly video about plants, but this is what you signed up for. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.